Our science has evolved exponentially in recent decades, especially in the areas of neuroscience and psychology. But even so, we still haven't been able to solve the greatest mystery of all. What is consciousness? When scientists tried to find the self in the brain, that intimate feeling of being someone, nothing was discovered. There is no set of neurons that governs who you are. No CEO of the mind makes decisions within you. Instead, what was found is a silent space, a luminous void, from which thoughts, emotions, and perceptions arise and disappear. This void is not absence, but pure presence, the same field of consciousness that the Upanishads call Atman, the self that witnesses all experiences without ever being affected by them. Advaita Vedanta teaches that this self is identical to Brahman, the infinite reality that manifests as everything that exists. Thus, the observer in you is not yours. It is the same principle that observes through all beings. The mind, in turn, is comparable to a mirror. It reflects the world, but is not the light that illuminates it. In the Drigdrishya Viveka method, the seer and the seen, Vedanta shows that everything that can be perceived, the body, thoughts, emotions, is the seen. The true seer is pure consciousness, the sakshin, immutable, which only observes. Samkhya Yoga expresses a similar idea, but in a dual form. The entire universe, with its bodies and minds, is prakriti, subtle and dense matter, while purusha is the principle of consciousness that only witnesses. Suffering arises from the confusion between the two, when purusha identifies with the fluctuations of prakriti. Liberation, kaivalya, occurs when this distinction is fully recognized. The Pratyabhijna philosophy of Kashmir proposes something even more subtle. There is no separation between consciousness and the world. Everything that appears, thoughts, sensations, the very self, is a self-revelation of absolute consciousness, Chit, which recognizes itself in every form and experience. The spiritual path, then, is not to distance oneself from the world, but to recognize oneself in everything. In the tantric tradition, especially in Kundalini Yoga, this same consciousness is understood as latent energy, Shakti, dormant in the body. Awakening it is to make the energy rise through the subtle centers, chakras, integrating body, mind, and spirit in an expansion of perception. The awakening of Kundalini does not create something new. It only releases the flow of consciousness that has always been present, but obscured. These traditions converge on one point. The silent observer is not a product of the brain, nor an internal voice conditioned by personal history. It is universal consciousness, formless, which is temporarily reflected as the individual. The so-called internal commentator, the mind that judges, narrates, and criticizes, belongs to the domain of Prakriti. It is shaped by culture, fears and desires, memories and expectations. Its function is practical, but illusory if taken as the true self. The observer, on the contrary, neither thinks nor reacts. It simply is. When in deep meditation, attention rests in this silent space, one perceives that consciousness neither begins nor ends. It is the same consciousness that perceived the world when you were a child, the same that will witness the last breath. It is timeless, immutable, and free. The eternal Sakshan, the Purusha, Jung's self, the inner Christ of Western mystics. The Upanishads said, "You are that." Advaita completes, "There is no separate you to be that." Tantra reveals that vibrates as energy and manifests in everything. And Samkhya Yoga teaches liberation is merely recognizing what has always been free. Thus, when you let go of the commentator's noise and immerse yourself in the silence of the observer, you realize that emptiness is the full field of the divine. It is the space where all forms are born and return, where the mind dissolves and consciousness remains, infinite, serene, and undivided.